For decades, Southeast Asia occupied a special place in the imagination of travelers around the world. It was the region where people could travel for weeks or even months without constantly worrying about money, where adventure felt accessible, and where unforgettable experiences often cost less than a weekend back home. Stories from the region became legendary among travelers. Beachfront bungalows, overnight trains, bustling night markets, island-hopping adventures, and incredible meals could all be enjoyed on budgets that seemed almost impossible by Western standards. For many people, Southeast Asia represented freedom. The ability to travel longer, see more, and experience a completely different way of life without exhausting their savings. Today, that image is beginning to change. Not because Southeast Asia has suddenly become expensive, but because the conditions that made it one of the world's greatest budget travel regions are evolving faster than many travelers realize. The change did not happen overnight. There was no single year when travelers suddenly arrived and discovered prices had doubled across the region. Instead, a series of small shifts accumulated over time. Rising demand, growing tourism industries, infrastructure improvements, global investment, inflation, and changing traveler expectations have all combined to create a new reality. Southeast Asia remains affordable compared to much of Europe, North America, and Australia. Yet for travelers who first visited 10 or 20 years ago, the difference is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. One of the biggest reasons is simple. More people want to visit Southeast Asia than ever before. What was once viewed as a destination for adventurous backpackers has become one of the most desirable travel regions on Earth. Millions of travelers now arrive from every corner of the world seeking beaches, culture, food, nature, and experiences they have seen online. Countries such as Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines have transformed into tourism powerhouses. Their popularity continues growing as international awareness expands year after year. Popularity creates opportunities. It also creates competition. Hotels that once competed aggressively for guests now find themselves operating in markets where demand remains consistently strong. Restaurants, transportation providers, tour operators, and attractions all experience similar shifts. When demand increases faster than supply, prices rarely remain unchanged. The process may happen gradually, but over time it becomes noticeable to travelers. Thailand provides one of the clearest examples. For decades, it was considered one of the world's most famous budget travel destinations. Visitors could find excellent accommodation, inexpensive transportation, and remarkable food at prices that seemed almost unbelievable. Those opportunities still exist, but the landscape has changed. Popular destinations such as Phuket, Krabi, and parts of Bangkok attract enormous numbers of visitors. Hotels in prime locations now compete in a very different market than they did a generation ago. The same pattern can be found throughout the region. Destinations that were once hidden gems have become internationally recognized brands. Places that once appeared only in backpacker guidebooks now dominate social media feeds and tourism campaigns. Visibility brings investment, and investment often brings higher prices. Bali offers another fascinating example. Its beauty has always been extraordinary, but global attention has transformed parts of the island. Entire districts now cater to international visitors seeking luxury villas, wellness retreats, co-working spaces, boutique cafes, and lifestyle experiences. Those businesses exist because there is strong demand for them. The result is not necessarily negative. Yet it creates an environment that feels very different from the Bali many travelers remember from years ago. Air travel has changed as well. Budget airlines helped fuel Southeast Asia's tourism explosion, by making travel between countries faster and cheaper than ever before. Many of those routes still offer excellent value. Yet, fuel costs, airport charges, operational expenses, and increasing demand have altered the economics of flying throughout the region. Travelers who once booked incredibly cheap regional flights now often find themselves paying significantly more than they expected. The increase may not seem dramatic on a single journey, but it becomes much more noticeable over an entire trip. Accommodation presents an even clearer picture of how Southeast Asia is changing. A generation ago, travelers could arrive in many destinations with little planning and easily find affordable places to stay. Today, many popular areas require reservations weeks or months in advance during peak periods. The growing number of visitors has fundamentally changed the relationship between supply and demand. At the same time, traveler expectations have evolved. Modern visitors often seek experiences that previous generations rarely considered. Reliable high-speed internet, premium accommodations, private transportation, wellness facilities, specialty coffee shops, rooftop bars, and curated experiences have become standard parts of many travel itineraries. These conveniences improve comfort and accessibility, yet they also increase costs. Part of what travelers interpret as rising prices is actually a reflection of changing expectations. The Southeast Asia many people visit today is offering a very different product than it did 20 years ago. Digital nomads have contributed to this transformation as well. Remote work has introduced an entirely new category of long-term visitor to many destinations. Cities such as Chiang Mai, Da Nang, Ho Chi Minh City, Bali, and Kuala Lumpur attract thousands of professionals who stay for months rather than days. Their presence helps support local businesses and creates economic opportunities. At the same time, increased demand for housing, cafes, co-working spaces, and long-term accommodation inevitably influences local pricing. Entire neighborhoods begin adapting to a new type of customer. The result is a tourism landscape that increasingly serves multiple markets simultaneously. Backpackers, luxury travelers, retirees, remote workers, and short-term tourists now compete for many of the same resources. Social media has accelerated these changes in ways few people anticipated. A single viral video can transform an overlooked destination into an international attraction almost overnight. Hidden beaches become famous. Small towns attract global attention. Quiet cafes suddenly appear on thousands of travel itineraries. The exposure creates opportunities for local communities, yet it also increases demand, which eventually influences pricing. This creates one of the great paradoxes of modern travel. The places people discover online often become less affordable because so many others discover them at the same time. Food remains one of Southeast Asia's greatest strengths. Across the region, extraordinary meals can still be enjoyed at prices that surprise visitors from wealthier countries. Street food culture remains vibrant. Local markets continue serving authentic dishes that have defined communities for generations. Yet even here, travelers increasingly notice a distinction between tourist-focused areas and local neighborhoods. The difference in pricing can be substantial. Those willing to explore beyond the most popular districts often discover that Southeast Asia's famous affordability has not disappeared. It has simply become less concentrated in the places most tourists visit first. This distinction may be the most important change of all. Cheap travel still exists throughout Southeast Asia. What has changed is how easily travelers find it. In previous decades, affordability was often automatic. Today, it increasingly rewards curiosity, flexibility, and a willingness to venture beyond the most heavily promoted destinations. Governments across the region are also introducing new tourism policies. Sustainability fees, visitor levies, conservation programs, and tourism taxes have become more common. Most of these charges are relatively small, yet together, they reflect a broader reality that many destinations are trying to balance tourism growth with long-term sustainability. The challenge facing Southeast Asia today is very different from the challenges it faced 20 years ago. The region is no longer trying to attract international attention. It already has it. Millions of travelers arrive every year. Global hotel brands continue investing. Infrastructure projects expand. Airports grow larger. Tourism becomes more sophisticated. All of these developments bring benefits: better transportation, improved services, increased safety, and stronger economies create positive outcomes for both visitors and local communities. Yet they also make it increasingly difficult for Southeast Asia to remain the ultra-cheap destination it once was. Perhaps that is the hidden reality behind the death of cheap travel. Budget travel itself is not disappearing. What is disappearing is the assumption that Southeast Asia will remain frozen in time while the rest of the world changes around it. The region is evolving because it is succeeding. More people want to experience it than ever before, and that success inevitably transforms the places they come to see. The beaches remain beautiful. The food remains extraordinary. The cultures remain fascinating. The adventures remain unforgettable. What has changed is the expectation. Southeast Asia is no longer simply the world's bargain travel destination. It has become one of the world's most important travel destinations, and those are not always the same thing. For travelers willing to adapt, incredible value can still be found throughout the region. The opportunities remain abundant for those prepared to explore beyond the obvious choices, and perhaps that will define the next era of travel in Southeast Asia. Not chasing the cheapest destinations, but discovering the places where curiosity, flexibility, and a sense of adventure still unlock experiences that money alone cannot buy.